Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Humble Ground. This one I saw an article, I believe from an Omaha or Lincoln publication, and I just had to reach out and see if that was something that we could get things going, because this is very different than what you normally would see in this part of the country. But having that farming background and then also seeing an opportunity, I think is awesome. So we're going to talk farming, but we're also going to talk about shrimp. But without further ado, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're right in the middle of harvest, and so I'm sure when we get done here, you're probably going back to a grain truck or something.
Back to combine.
Back to the combine.
Back to the combine. Yep.
Tell us a little bit. How'd you grow up? Did you grow up around farming? Give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, so I grew up on a production row crop operation, pretty decent size for our area. My grandpa, both my uncles, my great uncle and my father all farmed together. We had hired guys. So, I originally grew up in that. A lot of growth while I was growing up. Always sleeping on the floor, a tractor, calves, riding around with dad. I used to go to half-day preschool, and I can kind of faintly remember being very mad with my mom when I had to leave to go to school because I was playing with dad by town. But yeah, I grew up just north of a small town named Cook. I went to high school at Tecumseh, Nebraska, which is about 45 minutes southeast of Lincoln, Nebraska. I played all the sports, was in FFA. High school was a pretty big part of my life. FFA obviously had a pretty big impact, and that's kind of how I got started in the shrimp, as we'll talk about later. But so a little bit about after high school, I got enrolled in the at UNL in Lincoln there. I'm a ag systems tech major. That goes into a little bit about, I like to call it glorified farming. My dad had the same major, but back then it was called mechanized systems management. So that goes into a little bit about like hydraulics, water management, like building dams, terraces. We have a tile plow, a dozer, and a excavator. So we do quite a bit of our own stuff than some hired out stuff. So talks quite a bit about that sort of stuff. And then also I'm part of the Engler agribusiness entrepreneurship program up in Lincoln. That was started by the guy who I think started cactus feeders. Mr. Engler. He had a pretty large endowment to the university to start this program, and I've been a part of it, and they've really kind of helped me with this venture that I started when I was 17, and then it's kind of transferred into something that I'm still doing today. So yeah, along with that minor, I'm also an agronomy minor, so try to keep busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's so neat. I've got so many questions. And again, your story is much different than anybody else I know. A, your age, and then B, obviously from Nebraska. And so how did, farming corn and soybeans and having some cattle at the time, how'd you get into growing shrimp? Where did that idea even come from?
Yeah, so it all started in FFA. My ag advisor, Christy Hodges, she kind of planted this seed with it's called the Agri-Science Fair. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you're able to start an ag project, whether that be a study on corn, soybeans, or anything like that, and then actually take it and present it at a district and the state and the national level. So I did an ethanol distillation project with some different test weights of corn and then some white corn. Also, I won our district and state competition, then made it out to the national competition, and I did decent out there, and it was a super fun time meeting all of those people. They're all most of the people that go out there make it in something. So you're meeting some of the brightest young ag minds in the U.S. So that was a super fun time. Wanted to go back out there. Me and my dad were sitting there one day around the dinner table, and we were just kind of brainstorming things you could go back to, and he was like, well, we could do something with like goats, hogs, sheep, cattle. We had cattle at the time. And then we were just kind of thinking, he's like, oh, well, you grow shrimp. And it's like, no, we're not growing shrimp. That is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. And anyway, we kind of tabled it for the night, went to bed. The next day I was in school. I was bored just doing a little bit of Google search, and I realized there's some guys that do grow shrimp, and they do it in these large tanks. There's a couple in the northern half of the United States that do it, and a couple more. Google searches like, man, I could actually do this. Like, it'd be a lot of work, but I could do it. Showed it to Dad, and then it was kind of one thing led to another. We bought our first pool, which was about, I'd say, 15 foot long and about the width from you to me. We slowly realized that was not going to meet the minimum order of 10,000 baby shrimp, or what are called PLs, post larva. And then we eventually bought a 16 by 33 foot long tank and kind of went head first at it. So that was a little bit about how we got started. So this will be my third year doing. I started when I was 17, and right now we're kind of wrapping up harvest, get them in May, and harvesting over just about now. So
it was wild. We just got back from where you and got to meet your mom, and it's in a shop. Yeah, that is just. You didn't have to build a new shop for it. You just and the pool. And I don't mean any disrespect, but the pool looks like you went and bought it at
it is
Costco or Sam's Club or somewhere.
Amazon return.
Amazon return.
$900. It's like $1,500 list price. I got it for $900. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you have somebody you knew that was doing it already, or did you just really go with the figured out method?
It was really the figured out method. Before we even start with that little tank, I did a lot of research. I called quite a few professors from Texas A&M. Louisiana Tech has an aquaculture program, and then I think LSU has a couple professors that are into that. So talking to them, and then I got connected to a shrimp farmer actually out in western Nebraska. He's like 8 miles from the Colorado border, south of Imperial. His name is Grant Jones. He's been a super big mentor to me. I've made the 5.5 hour drive out there a lot more times than I like to admit, but every time I go out there, there's new information that I learn, and he's just been a super great resource to kind of mentor me and show me what he's doing and tell him what I'm doing, and kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's a super niche thing to be doing, and it's so nice to have him to talk to.
You know, we're in Nebraska, and there's a lot of people that listen to this. We've had every state in like 59 countries, right? And so a lot of people would say, shrimp, not a big deal, right? I'm next to the coast in Louisiana, or I'm out west, or wherever, shrimp you have a much easier access to. Yeah. Nebraska and Kansas, where I live, we're about a little over an hour apart. There's not shrimp around here, and quite frankly, we're a long ways from fresh shrimp.
Yeah.
So I think you do probably have a very unique market. What were the early days like? And I'm sure there was plenty of learning curves that you had to overcome. What were some of those?
Yeah. Originally getting started when we bought that first pool is scary, to be honest with you. My parents loaned me a pretty good sized loan for what maybe not in the ag world as we see.
Sure.
That's pennies and nickels, but to me it was a very big number. When we first got that batch in, I'd grown them out. It takes about 120 days to make the full grow out, and we got to about day 100 to 110, and I had an air line broke, and that killed 15,000 shrimp. That was my first ever go at it. Walking in there and hearing that air, it runs in 2-inch PVC air lines, and hearing that air blow against the wall instead of into the tank through the aeration system where it's supposed to. That was a really tough week, to be honest with you. I really wanted to quit, just go back. The summer I worked for a guy, put in water and sewer lines, and then work there and pay him back for it and just be done with it. And then my dad told me about a story. I knew about the story, but I really didn't know about it. He had bought a farm probably 2 or 3 years prior, and there wasn't a whole lot of wells around, and they drilled a test hole. The well driller told them they had water, so they sunk a 16-inch diameter casing in the ground, which most ag people know that's a pretty good dollar figure to invest. And then it pumped something like 73 gallon a minute. So he just kind of him telling me about one of his biggest failures, or maybe not his biggest failure, but one that really kind of uplifted me to realize I have more goes at this. I mean, this isn't a one and done deal. I was like 17 years old at the time. I had the rest of my life to figure whatever problems I really have out. So yeah, looking back, it wasn't as big of a deal as I made it out to be then, but it was a kind of a life-ending event at the time.
Oh, sure, but I could think back to high school and I probably wasn't even willing to take a chance and even ask, for the money, let alone take the chance and then have it not go the way you wanted it to go. I can only imagine how difficult that probably was. Let's talk about how many shrimp do you have to buy? I know you touched on the 120-day thing, but walk us through the process. You buy shrimp. Where does it come from? How does it get here? And then what's that growth cycle look like?
Yeah, definitely great question. So when I get them in, I order them from a hatchery. It's called Pine Island in Florida. It's pretty close to Fort Myers. I get them in. They're about the size of the white on my pinky fingernail. I don't know if the people at home that can see that, but when you trim your pinky fingernail, that's how big they are. They ship them up in it's a styrofoam cooler. They put ice packs in there. They put 15,000. It's essentially a trash bag, a clear 1/8-inch thick trash bag. They'll put them in there with their water and they'll pump that bag full of oxygen. They have about 28 hours, give or take, once they're in there. They cool them down so they kind of go dormant a little bit. They'll overnight them up here, stop at Atlanta. I'll pick them up then in Omaha and then get them back here and put them into a 4x10 nursery, and it takes about 4 hours to acclimate them to our water here in Nebraska. After about the first 30 days of them being in there, they've been on 3 different feeds, starting at about a 50% protein level, and then I slowly wean them back to a 35 and then a 25% protein feed. They've gone from about the size of my pinky fingernail to about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long and about 3 grams. And then after that, 1.5 grams. Then after that, I transfer them over to the bigger tank where they spend the next 90 days and actually grow out to, a lot of people don't believe me, but it is the full length of my hand. I mean, it
definitely is.
Yeah, we took you over there, and I'm about 6'4" and pretty good sized dude, and they are the size of my hand. So a lot of people are surprised when they get that big. But yeah, so that takes about 90 days, and they're on 2 different feeds there. Both kind of weaning them off the protein, because like most cattle guys know, protein is dollars. So the quicker you can get them to a lower protein content feed, the cheaper it is to feed them out. So after that, after 90 days, we harvest them. How we euthanize them is we actually add them to ice water. So where they're from, the mangroves, they burrow into the mud when it gets cold. They spend the winter over there. They come back out when it gets warm. So we kind of simulate that, except we put them in the ice water and they just won't come back. So from that point on, they're on ice, and then we package them up into our 1 pound packaging, got a label on there. We actually sell them whole because like with FDA regulations and all that good stuff, you can't process them without a processing kitchen. So we leave them whole, and on our packaging I have a QR code, which is a link to a YouTube video on the Food Network, which most people have heard of, to actually how to devein them and take their head off. And it's a lot more of a daunting task that people might think it is than when they actually do it. They're like, man, once they actually do it for dinner the first night, they're like, man, that was not too hard. So yeah, I get a lot of repeat customers. So I market all 15,000 of those to a lot straight to consumer people in my community and beyond.
How much pounds of shrimp can you get out of 15,000 that you start? Obviously, I'm sure there's some loss in there depending on how things go, but ballpark, how many pounds of shrimp do you get per run?
So it depends on how big you take them. So I get 15,000 shrimp that they would probably honestly all fit in this water bottle if there was no water in there, but it depends how big you take them. So if you take them to a 4 count, which is 4 shrimp per pound, obviously you're going to have a lot more. But to where I sell them, it's anywhere from between 750 to 800 pounds, which is about a 20 to 18 count shrimp. So,
you mentioned earlier you were a busy guy, and I can definitely see that. Just being here today, how much labor does it take? And then with you being at college and farming and everybody else farming this time of year, how do they get taken care of, and do you come back and forth from college, or how's that working now?
Yeah. So from our place to where I live in Lincoln over by East Campus it's about 55 minutes. So I'm definitely not that far from home, but like right now I rely a lot on my sister and my dad. I remotely run the operation, and I'm extremely thankful for the help that they're able to give me. So they mainly take about the last month. So it kind of depends on how long it takes to grow them or when I get them in. I got these in a little bit later in the year than I would have liked to. So, but when they're little, like you asked me about how much time it takes, they're very intensive when they're super little. They're very easy to kill, and that's why I have them in a smaller tank, is so I can monitor them more easily. I spend about anywhere from 2 to 3 hours in there every day, and about my whole weekend when they're super little and getting ready for them, I'm in there every weekend. But once they get bigger, it's about, you feed them in the morning, and it's about 15 minutes of water quality test at night. I test for anywhere from 13 to 16 different parameters to make sure everybody's doing all right. Because like a cow, you can tell they're laying down, they're limping around, but with a shrimp, they really have no way to tell you how they're doing. So testing what their living conditions are really helps me know how they're doing.
Yeah, and speaking of, you had said that pool's got to stay at what, 82 degrees?
84, so
84
29 and a half degrees Celsius.
Okay, so I'm guessing you don't grow through the winter.
No.
So for people that don't understand this question, the pool is in a shed or a shop.
It's like a cold storage machinery shed.
Yeah.
So like this one's insulated. It's not. It's bare studs and tin. So
yeah, and it gets really cold in our part of the country in the wintertime. And so to heat that water would cost you a fortune.
Exactly.
Or to try to keep it consistent water probably would be very difficult. So what's your growth cycle like now? And is that something that you are looking to expand that in the future?
Yeah, so right now I only run over the summer. So I do one run in the summer. I have kind of tossed around the idea with doing 2, starting pretty early in the spring and then finishing later here in the year. But it's kind of hard to justify it when I'm not here. I have to put that responsibility onto somebody else, and it's just easier to just do one to where because I do kind of feel bad making somebody else take care of or it's like going on vacation, having somebody take care of your cattle. So I try to do it all by myself, but in the future, like we talked about earlier, maybe put a building up, sort of like this, or insulate that one out. That would make the ability to grow throughout the year more feasible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome. Completely unique story, and I love how it ties back to farming. I want to ask a question. So you're a younger guy that will be coming back to the farm. A new person coming back to the farm, there has to be revenue to justify that. Is this one of those sources of revenue? So like a lot of guys will say, hey, we bought some cattle, or hey, we did this, or hey, we did this. Like this is a completely unique source of revenue that, again, I think probably is a really sustainable one. Like people eat shrimp, and there isn't any other real competition around here.
Got the market cornered.
Yeah. So is that something that was an idea too in the back of your mind? Was like, maybe this is another revenue option for me when I move back?
Yes and no. Originally, it really wasn't. My dad sells seed, and we had cattle here up until a year. I mean, we sold with market highs here in the last year. And so originally, no, there was going to be plenty of avenues for me to make it back here and kind of take my slice, if you will. But kind of as this has kind of grown, I've realized with what I pull in for revenue, I could continue to do this, and I would make good money doing it. So yeah,
it's neat. I think you should throw up a 60 by 120 and just grow every month and just have a new batch every month.
So that's actually the hog sheds over here. We no longer raise hogs, but I've kind of been trying to convince the people who have ownership of those buildings to leave them up for me and actually insulate the walls of that. Actually tear the curtains down and put walls up, insulate it out, and then you would line that either line it with pools, or those barns actually don't have slat or a pit under it, so it's got the chain style cleaners. So actually pull the slats up and then pour 2 concrete walls down the alley, and then line that with rubber and have 2 long tanks down the whole thing, and then actually grow them out in there instead of putting up a building. But if you were put up a building, you need 7-foot tall ceilings, and you just need square footage is what you need. So nothing, you don't need 30-foot tall ceilings that drive a sprayer in.
So on like an old hog building like that, I mean, how many could you grow out in a batch? Could you have said how many is it per cubic meter?
So I do 250 per cubic meter right now. And there are guys in some studies who have done upwards of 500 per cubic meter. I think in a barn like that, I could put 4 tanks in. So 4 times 15,000, or I could even go to 30,000 per tank if I wanted to. So 8 times 30,000, that gets to a pretty substantial number, and it definitely works on paper anyway. But paper is different than real life.
Sure.
You gotta remember that.
But is that something that you could see wanting to do that? You're still young.
Yeah.
You still have the drive and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you could see the interest in doing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that would obviously kind of, I'd run out of market here, but we're 30 minutes from the southeast edge of Lincoln, an hour from Omaha. And I mean, Kansas City's 2 hours away from here. So the market is here. We're the only triply landlocked state in the U.S. So to get fresh shrimp here is really it costs dollars is what it is. And so how I'm doing it would be a way to definitely make that cheaper. So
that's awesome. A few more questions. I just can't thank you enough for your time, and I know you got stuff going on. Growing up around farming, a lot of people that are on this say that you just have to learn how to do things, and you have to be willing to learn how to do things. And I think you summed that up perfectly. What's it like growing up around the farm and knowing that, it's, hey, if things need done, we just got to go out and do them. And it's like, that seems like the mentality you had into the shrimp thing. Like, we're just going to figure it out, Dad and I and the family. And is that safe to say?
Yeah. I definitely say they were very encouraging with what they've done. I'm super blessed to have them to be able to invest. I mean, not every parent can invest that much in their kid, and I'm so thankful for them to be able to do that to me and help me grow in this kind of this business venture that I've now built for myself. And yeah, it's definitely shown me if you really want something bad enough and you think about it long enough, you can make it happen. I mean, you can grow shrimp in Nebraska. There's a lot of other things. You can definitely put a corn seed in the ground and go out and grow it. So yeah.
And I think it's inspiring again for anybody of any age, realistically. I mean, this is something too that somebody that's 65 and just, like they could see this and go, you know what, I could do that, or I could do this. And it just takes, I think, the willingness to, and obviously there's financial investment that has to be made too. But I think having a good support system sure didn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
Going into that.
Definitely.
What's the next 5-10 years look like for you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Kind of the short form answer is, I don't know. Obviously graduate college. That's probably one of my biggest goals right now, but definitely my kind of one of my main things right now is come back to the family farm. That's kind of my number one priority right now, but as I see it, I definitely could take a pretty good hack at growing the shrimp. I do plan to keep growing them out over college in the summer when I'm back home, because I come home every summer, only being 30 minutes from the southeast edge of Lincoln. So it almost takes me longer to get to school than it does to get to Lincoln, because we kind of live on the opposite side. But yeah, only time will tell really of what I'm going to do. So
yeah. Last question. If somebody wants to get your shrimp, is that something you're always sold out? Yeah.
So definitely my demand is exceeding my supply tenfold. So I had this batch sold, and a good chunk of the next batch sold also. So it's a very demanding market to be in, definitely. But it takes a lot of knowledge and investment if you're going to want to do it. So it's definitely a really interesting thing.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I know you got combining to get to, but no, we'll put links to the company. I love the name Big Red.
Big Red Shrimp Company. Didn't have to. My aunt's actually a lawyer, and we kind of we're thinking like, can I actually use the Big Red trademark?
Sure.
But apparently, if you really think about it, it is a color, and it is just big and red. I mean, it's pretty open for use. So Big Red Shrimp Company.
See, like if I start one by me, I can't do like Wabash. I can't do Bill Snyder Shrimp Company. Power Cat, none of those. So
Big Purple.
There you go. We could just open up a southern branch.
There you go.
Oh, things are rolling now. Well, thank you so much for your time. Again, everybody listening. Again, this is a little bit different, but it's one of those things that I think could be really exciting. And check it out and make sure to listen. Thank you all.
Thank you.